ready, I guess.
Yep.
You got it live?
Yep.
Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting, Ramsey County meeting to order. Start off with pledge allegiance, please. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, the first thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing no discussion. All's in favor by saying aye.
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 All's opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next thing is approval of bills. Is there any question on the bills?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Roll call, please.
Hodis.
Aye.
Frith.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Wilhelmie.
Aye.
Volk.
Aye. Next item is approval of treasurer checks.
Move to approve.
We have a motion, we have a second. Roll call, please.
Hodis.
Aye.
Frith.
Aye.
Brown. Wilhelmie.
Aye.
Volk.
Aye. Next item is approval of financials. You guys can see Candy handed out. This is all the information that we finally got back from Tyler. I shouldn't say got back. It's the information that got inputted. Candy brought to my attention the beginning balance is being worked. So if there was any carryover, she doesn't know if we have to put that in there or if they help us put that in there. So that's why you don't see anything on the beginning balance. But everything else is up to date, correct, Candy?
This is for the month of January. I don't know if it's something that we have to do like a rollover from 25 to 26. And he didn't reply back to my email, but hopefully today so we can get it figured out.
But what you see in front of you guys now is how the report will come in. Does that make more sense now that we have this report? And the way I'm looking at this report, once that beginning balance is in there, that will show us the rest of the numbers. Because that would show if there was anything from 2025.
I guess I'd make a motion to table this until our next meeting. So I have more time to digest it.
I'll second.
So we have a motion, we have a second to table this financials that we have in front of us so that we can look it over more closely and get more answers on the balance. All those favored by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries to table that until next meeting. Approval of agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Bev? Good morning.
Good morning.
I handed out a sheet. I had mentioned at the budget meeting in July that I'm gonna need another plat cabinet. We've got plenty of subdivisions that have come in the last few years. I've only got a couple spots left in the plat cabinet that we have. So I got together, I could get 3 quotes for different plat cabinets. On the front page, the picture on the top is the one that we currently have. We have 2 of those. Each one holds about 200 plats. The bottom one is new design. You can see the 3 quotes that I got, one from US Records, one from, what the heck was it? Easy File. Or did I forget?
So I see all the quotes that we have here.
Okay.
My question is what would you like to have? Like what best fits what you guys are using now? Would you like to stay the same?
I would like to stay the same. The bottom one, I'd have to get 2 to accommodate the same amount of plats as the top one. Just to kind of stay with consistency. When I looked at them at a conference, the top one seems like it would hold the plats a little bit better. They are taken in and out of the cabinets quite a bit, so it's nice to make sure that they're very secure in there. These things are very heavy. They're 600-700 pounds. So I have talked to Roger about helping me get it in. It's got to come in on a freight truck and get it into our office. I will have to, no matter which one I got, we'll have to kind of do a little rearranging on our office to try to get that cabinet in. Like I said, these will, top one will hold 400 more. So it's going to be quite a while before we'd have to put another one in place. Okay.
That's the one you want.
That's the one I would prefer.
And then that would match what you already have.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the money for this, you can see there, it's around $7,000 for that top one.
Yes,
The money would
68.
come out of Endron because it is document preservation.
I move to approve. Second.
Got a motion. We got a second to go with the NO 200
Yes.
at a price of $68.29. $6,829.
Or is it 69.75?
That's the second quote. It's the exact
Oh.
same one, but it's from a different company.
Okay.
So we're all good. $68.29.
Yep.
We have a motion. We have a second. This is just to order it, so we don't need to go over it. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Moving on to Jason.
Okay, good morning. We'll start with the first order I had on there. We need to order some V-plow cutting edges. They take a special edge and some shoes and brackets. We'll be getting that stuff from Little Falls. They've started to send some stuff, so I don't know if that total is going to come in at one invoice or not. At the time, they'd quoted us $3,500 for parts, so I still would like to ask for the motion in case it's over the $2,500 to order the $3,500 worth of plow parts.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. I'm going to jump around a little bit and then we'll come back to work those other two together. Invoice for RDO equipment, the V-plow for Starkweather showed up and has been being used. So I'm asking for a motion for the $15,700 to pay RDO for the V-plow.
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second. Roll call, please.
Otis,
Aye.
Frith,
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Wilhelmie,
Aye.
Volk.
Aye. Motion carries.
We also received a KLJ invoice for 89th Avenue, South Minnewacan for $1,239.06. I'm asking for a motion to pay that, and then that is 100% reimbursed by North Dakota DOT.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second to pay $1,239.06.
My question on that, Jason, is I thought at our last meeting we approved some bills that were final.
Yep, those are for close. That's the construction side. They are done. They got their retainer. So we are, there should be one or maybe one or two more for engineering through March. And then the DOT has also reached out. We're trying to get these projects wrapped up. So we're getting close. Paul's aware that he needs to get that stuff in to get that handled.
Thank you.
Yep. The new tar kettle, that's just,
Hold on.
oh,
We need
sorry.
to vote.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So any other discussion on it? So we have a motion, we have a second. Roll call, please.
Otis,
Aye.
Frith,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Wilhelmie,
Aye.
Volk.
Aye. Motion carries. Sorry about that.
No, it's my bad. Got going. The new tar kettle, that's just an FYI. We ordered that last summer. They were gonna hopefully deliver it next week here, the week of the 10th, but we'll see if that makes it. We'll jump into the building, then we'll finish with the blading. So after looking through all the quotes and calling for more quotes for doing the insulation and stuff like that, I put together a pretty good list of quotes for you guys, I think. We went back through the floor quotes for how close they are, but the things we're getting, we decided that we would like to move forward with Lindstrom Construction on that, on the floor, and go with the floor heat tubing option with that. So I'd be asking for a motion to get that quote signed and approved.
Okay, who was the first quote you got this? I didn't recognize.
Yeah, TJB Construction in Devil's Lake.
And they did, excuse me, they didn't have their quote all put together. They actually had.
Last time, so we had to wait. So we had partial quote the first time compared. That TJB was
Who's the actual owner of the company? They asked.
Travis Buckmeyer.
Okay.
So the see, we didn't know what he didn't have anything for floor heat or anything on his first quote. So we went with the insulating under the concrete, the poly,
And this included.
putting the footings under the loft and redoing the loft. That loft is posts and stuff are redone in the Lindstrom quote. So we'd like to move forward.
So we talked about last time a little bit about having the footings in there so that once they pour the concrete, we don't have it lifting. I believe Ed brought it up last time. Yeah. The must.
So, and going back to this building, this is all, I know we were just talking about carryover money, but we're using the funding from that money from last summer that we still have almost $400,000 of the FEMA money left. So that's how we're funding the building project. And then to catch everybody up, then the sheriff will get his garage stall that's attached to the SWAT building. We'll be out of that building and they can have that building for law enforcement practices when we get this building done. So that's where I think everybody was here for those meetings, but I know Commissioner Hodis missed the one there. So just make sure everybody is on page with what we're doing and why we need it for space, for heated space, and he needed a shed. So we just got the ball rolling quicker.
What's the major difference between the quotes? Because there's quite a bit of difference between the.
Well, the only things I could see were that I looked at when I talked with Jacob, who was helping me put the quotes together, is if you look at the loft area is the main thing. They just want to put pads and not footings under that on the T's. The one Lindstrom's had the footings in there, and then the 1.5-inch foam for the heating option. See, it's hard when you get a quote that's not broken.
He didn't have, if we correct me if I'm wrong.
The original one he didn't.
That's the rebar 2 foot on center, not 18.
Yes, he did make a correction on that. in the second quote. But on the first quote, he was higher for just the floor without the heating option with the 2 foot on center. And then he came back lower with the 18-inch on center on the second quote. So I don't know how we put more steel into the floor and got the quote down. I don't know. But the biggest work is the work that Lindstrom's going to do to the loft for us. That's where the footings are going in, and that's where we're putting in actual posts instead of the 4x4s, since we're going to use that upstairs as a parts room. And the other quote's just calling to put a pad under those poles.
I guess I like the break. Sorry, maybe might not be able to hear me. I like the breakdown of the quote of the way Lindstrom put it, just so that you have to be able to hold them accountable for each item that is bid. Where if you look at the other one, it's just one slammed into one. How do you hold someone accountable if you don't know?
Well, and that's the thing. If you got to go back and ask every time on even on the quote, you get the quote, you tell them what you want in the quote, and then you got to keep coming back. Well, are you sure it included this? Does it include this? Like the one I have in my office is hand notes all over it. You know what I mean? To get it back to. So
That's my perspective of what I'm looking at. It's a little bit more money, but
well, like you say, if you look right under the concrete we will jack up and support the mezzanine to install footings under the post before pouring the floor. There's going to be a lot of work done to that mezzanine area because we're going to use that for parts storage up above. And we shared that we were going to use that for parts storage. And the other quote comes back in on with no quote there, but the price isn't reflected so much in that. So in the breakdown there, the difference is there was difference in the pump truck. Lindstrom's was more on that, and then he was more on the floor heat and tubing insulation, and that's the insulation he's using is more. Cost is more. That's where the two big differences are.
Pretty huge difference in prices.
Mm-hmm.
well, this first one, I don't think we're seeing the whole quote.
The first one was. Did you guys get the $88,000?
No,
87,154.
I don't see it uploaded.
It's the TJB updated estimate.
Yeah, he updated it.
Okay, so because in here it's 62 versus the 98, but really
But
it's 80. It's the 88,000 versus the 98,000.
Right. But if you look at his, the biggest thing is
the footings that
and then the foam insulation he had put in the original one, he had put it around the perimeter, and now he's got it and it says floor, but I don't know, he doesn't have it. The other one has it throughout the floor. I'm assuming he's putting it through the whole building, but this is the second quote from him. So I am not sure on that. But like I say, we should find out. We can hold it again. We can table it again and look again at trying to get the quotes exactly broke down the way we want to. We can give another option to quote it, I guess. It's up to you guys. We can give him a third chance to get it right.
I guess my opinion is, how many times do we want to allow this to get the numbers where,
We want to put everybody on an equal playing field. And, to me, it seems like we're comparing apples and oranges.
Mhm.
That
Well, I think the biggest thing is when you don't if we don't break it down to an actual bid,
Yep.
then it's left to everybody's interpretation. But up to 200,000, we don't, we're trying to do it faster, trying to streamline the process. So maybe, like Commissioner Friss says, let's just take the time to write it up and bid the job. We'll do sealed bids, and
Well,
I think that'd be the fair thing. I mean, at this point, if we, then that's, but the other thing is now we stood here and threw the numbers around. So that's why I didn't want to talk numbers last time. So yeah, it's difficult when you're on a quote, working off a quote. You can interpret it how you. We saw it with the culvert projects last year too. We had bids from 10,000 to 50,000 or quotes.
What was the projected start date on it? Not till-
Not the floor won't be till spring. Yeah. Yeah. Any of this won't be till spring. So we have time.
Yeah.
But if we, yeah. Well, I'm going to ask, let's rescind the motion to sign and let's ask for, let's just ask to table it. Let me talk with my two commissioners again. And outside of this, and we'll figure something out and try to move it forward fairly.
So we're looking for a motion to table.
I guess I would be okay with that, but that's up to you guys. You guys are the commission.
Yes, no?
I would move to table it until we can get actual
Second.
line item for line item comparison, so we know what we're proving.
Okay. Motion, we have a second to table this until we have it line item by line item, I guess. All in favor by saying aye.
I
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And this is no way to pick on that TJB contracting either. They did that slab for us on that, and they did fine work. They just did work last summer for us. They poured a big, huge slab in front of the rock shed. So it's just we got to get everything out there that broke down so we can see what we have. So with that cleared up,
So is that different than the floor to 5-door building quotes? Cause they're labeled two different things in our packet. So we have a floor to 5-door building quotes
yeah,
and then insulation on building.
that was walls and ceiling.
So is all that one project?
No,
Same
I wanted.
project?
Well, it's all the same building, but I'm trying to do them. I was trying to do them separate to give people the opportunity to.
Oh, well, that could be where my confusion lies. Oh, sorry.
Well, no, the walls and ceiling are separate. That we took quotes for. That's the next thing we're going to talk about. I reached out for quotes, 2 different styles of insulation. We had 2 people come in and look at it. They said they would spray foam it. Lindstrom Construction, he was there as well, looking at the floor, and he said he would bad insulate it below the ceiling and steel it, and that's where his quote came in for doing that. Put the metal on, do the whole thing. He could basically do the whole thing, metal wall finished, for what the spray foam quotes were. But that's walls to ceiling insulation.
So that's why his quote was so much different than the others. So he had
That would put him up at like 180,000 for his 2 projects, 176, but they're 2 separate
2
projects.
separate projects. Okay.
That's why, that's why when I was looking at the quotes, the breakdown of the quotes, the professionalism of one way was way better than the other for us to understand.
Well, yeah, that line by line, I agree. And just when he looked at it from what we gave him, what we wanted, to what he brought back with his putting in the footings and all those different things, or different ideas that I didn't even quote. I didn't realize we needed the extra support for that upstairs mezzanine for the parts room and stuff like that. So, But now we have that kind of as a blueprint to work off of.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the way we want to do the project, I think we should just ask the other contractor to bid the same thing.
Right, exactly. Yep, that's fair.
But as far as the insulation quotes, you're-
Yes, those are still, no, that's separate. So that was our next step.
Okay.
Do we want to, those are broke down too. Those actually are broke down the way I would like to see them. They broke down, Plummet Plumbing broke his down by a 3-inch for the ceiling and the walls. And then he added his flame retardant, the paint. He had, he didn't total those because he did the installation total. He just put the quote on for the paint. So that actually comes out to 84,000, which I gave you guys. The other individual from Nodak Spray Foam was at 48,744 for spray foaming the ceiling and the walls. They get it done. He was looking at doing spray foam instead of bad insulation. He quoted $79,052 total. That was top to bottom with he was adding a thermal barrier on that. Spray foaming was 64,052. And then again, different insulation, but the same. The finished, he put a finished result all the way from bare studs to steel covering the walls. That was Lindstrom's quote of 78,851.
so the spray foam has no steel.
No steel. That's just, you either got to cover or sheet.
And we're gonna,
But this is the only one like this that quoted this. I have no other bad insulation quote at this time. So again, we're not really comparing apples to apples, but
it's just what these different entities offer for product.
exactly to get that building insulated and finished for us. And our preference, the guys with washing and all that stuff, is they feel that they would like to go with the steel finished product for the same price with the bad insulation and the blowing in the ceiling over the foam. So I guess I'm asking we can accept that one and we can have the floor broke down maybe so we can get going on that part of it. Because he said, they all said as soon as it's nice enough, they'd like to start clearing space. We'll help with that, obviously, and get started.
I would move to accept the quote from Lindstrom Construction for the insulation.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. This is basically to accept the bid, right?
Yep.
Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries to accept Lindstrom Construction for insulation and finishing the inside.
And that's steel, that's lumber, that's everything. It's broke on his quote. So there shouldn't be a ton of surprises there. And then the last thing we'll chat with is I need help with is setting the hourly rate for motor grading. Mr. Wilhelmy and Mr. Hodis came down and we spent some time. We went over the maps. I think I put a pretty fair explanation of how we're going to continue to play the township roads. We'll do a offer everyone a 6-time contract as long as you guys are still on board with that. We'll do the 6-time contract. We're not going to raise as high as I first projected just because I think that all the changes at once, we do a small increase first on the contract price. So we give everyone a 6-time contract if they choose to. And then we do extra additional bladings as schedule and time allows, but then we just charge the hourly rate of whatever we set the hourly rate of. I've already shared that with one of the townships that had multiple extra bladings done, and he understood that. So I think that if we, why don't we send out the letter, but if I reach out to those 6 or 7 townships that we're having all the extra work done, I think they'll be receptive to the reasoning why.
So the only thing basically more than one thing. We're discussing going to 6 bladings
Under contract, yes.
under contract, and then we would have to put a price, and I see you have a couple of blanks here.
That's where I sent you guys. Did everybody get the breakdown of what it actually costs us per blading? I just grabbed one district because that was a 6-time district. He only bladed everything in his district 6 times for townships. So that was, so 3 of our districts only have 6-time blading. There's only 3 that have townships that have extra blading above the contract. I mean, the contract more than 6.
Three townships that have more.
No, there's like 6 total. But 3, like Prairie only has 6. No one contracts more. Edmore, no one contracts more, and Starkweather, nobody contracts anymore. The Penn area has one that contracts a bit more. Devil's Lake has quite a few that contract a lot more, and then Webster has one township that does 9 times instead of 6 times. So we still offer the service.
Just
We
at
increase,
an hourly rate.
and then after the 6, we're just gonna have to charge hourly just so we don't keep swimming under debt. Because right now, the way it's set up at the $135 an hour for plowing snow, every time we turn the key on, every hour the machine's running, we're losing over $30 an hour as a county. And that's everybody. That's not just,
Have you
I mean, that's the entire county.
townships that are getting more blading? Are they all right with this or not?
I've talked to one,
One.
and no, I'm sure some of them probably aren't going to be the happiest about it. But at some point, we got to reel it in. We got some places we're going 18 times and 24 times. And
The one you talked to, they understood that.
well, yeah, it's century. There's lots of things to back it. We got state century code in our pocket. We're below the state century code. Yeah, he understood that. Because the very first line as it starts out is no county can charge, lease, or rent their equipment less than the state rate. And we can prove on paper that we're way below the state rate. So got anything on that, Daniel?
What is the state rate?
$175 an hour
It's in there.
in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, we should be complying with the statute. I appreciate you finding that and putting it straight in there.
Well, I think it was just something that unintentionally got out of hand. I don't think it was ever intended for anybody to abuse the system. There's just more traffic. There's more subdivisions. There's more people on these roads. But we're not a construction company either. We're here to provide a service, and that service is being taken, and they're not getting the best service. When you start doing quantity, you're taking away from your own quality everywhere. And what's the biggest complaint you guys get? The roads are terrible, right? Roads are rough. Need to get a blade on my road. Well, how can I pull a blade to put him on your road when he's got to go on that road that they paid 24 times to do? He's booked. There's no rotational blading isn't the answer. Blading should be done when the road needs to be bladed, not when the 35-day cycle comes around and it's time to blade the road again. When we just set it up on the calendar, you have no idea, but we have to do something to make a schedule. So if we're going to offer contract blading, we have to make sure that we have a schedule for our blade men to follow. That's why, and I also attached in there too, just for everybody to get what kind of adjust what's going on. Most of the townships around are not bladed by the county any longer, except for the unorganized ones, that become the county property. But I called, did I send that to you guys? I think with their rates, Candy? I think I did. but yeah, I called Walsh. They do no township blading. They do help them with snow because that's an emergency deal. And I called Barnes. They'll do it if they're hired by the hour, but they're not under contract. Jamie down there also doesn't believe in rotational blading just to blade it, just because the calendar says to blade it, not because of the weather or the conditions. And Benson County does no, very limited. They used to gravel and blade and do all that stuff for the townships too, but they don't have the time or the manpower or the money either. It's you're gifting them, and it's taken away from what you could do on your own system. But it's a big service we provide, and I think it's one we still need to provide. So I think we just need to do it within what we can handle.
I guess I have a question is, I know Mr. Otis and Wilhelm, you guys sat down with him.
Mhm.
What are your guys' thoughts as far as doing something like this? I mean, you guys,
I'm actually in favor of this. You know, like Mr. Kraft said, takes a lot of time when you run 18, 20, 24 trips over someplace, and we could have been maybe having that blade somewhere else on a not a rotation, but on kind of like a rotational service kind of. So I do agree with what's being proposed.
Yeah, I agree. And you said every time that the key turns in that machine, we're losing money. So how is it fair when one township we lose money on 24 times a year versus 6? I think we need to just call it
I like
6 and
I like the comment you made is it's not supposed to be about quantity, it's supposed to be about quality.
Well, and we want to try to, and there's a lot of things that go into that. We all know that. I mean, trainings and getting our operators up, but
Having the weather to be correct
exactly.
at the right time to do it.
But still,
That doesn't always work with you either.
right.
You know, it's not always damp like you want it to be to go out and blade. But that's just part of the beast, I guess.
And I know it's a lot of it is the operator and the experience, but we have another reason I use Curry is because we've had very good feedback from the Curry blade man, and he blades his roads, the township roads. Very happy with them out there, and he gives everybody 6 bladings a year. But he's got time to make that extra pass. He can blade up and down and back one more time to cut a little bit more or get a little bit of the windrow laid off or whatever, because he's not on such a tight squeeze. The Devil's Lake Road is insane. I mean, it's just, you look at the times that we're blading and the roads, Devil's Lake.
My personal opinion, I would rather have them. I understand the 6 blading. You know, let's say you're going down a road and you cut a path and they didn't get it perfect. I'd rather have them take that path one more time and make that road perfect versus trying to say we're going to just do it 24 times because that's what we're contracted to do. Are we defeating the purpose of taking the blade out there that many times?
Well, depends on what you're in.
Exactly. The weather is a big
Hey,
thing.
they're out there. If you get a little sprinkle of rain, you get things
You
working.
get away better blading up.
Do a good job. Some days no rain from that. And things are rough.
And that's, again, when that's like that, then that's when it really becomes even sillier to be out there 24 times. Because now we're going out there every week, no matter what. And if it's dry powder, you're just shoving dry powder around 24 times and donating to do it.
And loads are heavier, trucks are bigger.
But I totally understand where the townships were coming from wanting the extra bladings. They trying to avoid the washboard and keep the roads in shape.
We're not taking away that we won't come out there.
Right.
It's just
Exactly.
done by the hour.
They just have to know up front that we're firmly going to stand on that, but the schedule what we contract has to be being met before we can take on extra work, is really what I'm trying to pull that back with that letter.
any additional is by request.
From a township officer to myself. Yeah.
As time allows.
Yeah. And then I can check with all the tools we have with Vision Link and everything, that make sure our guy is on schedule. He hasn't been sick or his machine hasn't broke down or.
Does the new $325 per mile contract amount Is that in compliance with the state rate of 175? I'm not sure where those different numbers are at.
No, I ran the numbers, and I can get you guys that too. I do have that. I tried to run it as close as I could. I tried to use 5 miles an hour as the blading. So that contract should come out to like 10,800 or something. I think I showed. Did I show you guys or did I explain it to you guys? But anyway, when we were sitting there, if you take that, you got to double it back, 'cause up and back by the mile, and it gets to be a lot. So we'd still be, we're still subsidizing them some, and that's why when I was looking more at like the 350, 360 range would get us a lot closer to that. But since there's going to be a lot of big changes this first year, I thought that whatever I don't want the perception to be that we cut the times and raise the price because we want to collect the same money, because that's not what I want to do.
So my recommendation to the commission, and based off of what Jason, all of this information is very useful. And I definitely understand not wanting to give everybody whiplash and increasing all the way up to the state rate, but we certainly need to get within century code here as far as making sure we're not charging out less than what the state does. But I think it's not unreasonable for the commission to decide to do that in a tiered process, increasing this year, increasing next year, until we catch up with the statute. It doesn't sound like the state highway department is making an issue out of this.
No,
But I would like for it to be fixed before anybody really starts paying attention to it and forces us to fix it before we're ready to do so. However you want to accomplish that, I think that's an appropriate plan of action.
and I think that eventually to get to that, we need to work by the hour like the other. If we are going to do township work, we need to work by the hour. Period. That's how the other counties that do the township work still, the 4 I talked to that border us, they work for them by the hour, but they are not at the state rate either. They are below the state rate. But the blading contracts are kind of, we're one of the last to do that for townships. And of course, your big counties do not do it. Ward doesn't do it at all. Grand Forks. We're one of the last ones providing the service to the township.
So I guess looking at a motion of one way or the other.
So the blanks for the numbers, since I figured we were at 167.33 is what it cost us hourly. And we're going to do this on a tier situation again, so we don't give them whiplash. The number I was looking at for a nice easy number for this year would be 150 an hour
To put into the film.
to fill in the blanks with for this first year.
Yeah,
It was just a way to start the increase up from the 135. Then maybe next year we jump to do the $15 thing an hour. So within 2 years, we would be within 24 months or so, we should be to the hourly state rate. And then we can try to restructure the contract part of it every year. I'll put that in the letter that every year we can look at it.
Well, and once this gets sent out, we would also see where the townships are with it.
Exactly. And
then we would also know what requests would be to come back. Yes, this is the 6 bladings, and the individuals that were getting more could come back and say, well, we need this much. We understand that this is what your hourly rate's going to be. Would it be feasible for you to make that on the schedule?
right. Yeah, that's fair assessment. Yes.
I would move that we move forward with the proposed new contracts with the townships for 2026.
And the 150 an hour, Bill.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. And 150 an hour. Yeah. And 6 bladings a year. But can be offered up to more.
Yep.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor by saying aye.
I'm going to jump in here real quick. I want to make some additions and edits to the contract as presented. Those are the terms that the commission is voting on. I just want to make it clear that I'm going to do some editing of this contract to make sure it's clear to the townships.
There. I wrote that.
And it's well written. I just want to clean up some of the language, but those are the terms that I will keep, and I will not alter those. But I will have a finished final contract that I'll get to Jason based on this vote, if that's what you want. I just wanted to make that clear to the commission.
On that note, then I need that like within a week.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Daniel. Because they have their meeting starting next week.
We have a motion. We have a second. And Daniel will clean up the clarification of it, what we voted on. So with that, any other discussion? All's in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All's opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks,
Yes, sir.
Rob.
Yeah, thank you guys. And sorry about this floor confusion, but we'll get it straightened out and we'll move forward with that as well. But we'll get it right yet.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks.
Can you grab the water board, please?
I would like to make one comment referring back to blading. People in the county need to understand that if they are looking for some work done, they need to contact their township supervisors before they can move forward to the county.
That could be highlighted.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Bill. Are you ready? Yes.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're actually just finishing up. We do have a couple things. We met with Nelson County a couple weeks ago in a joint meeting to take and determine if there was to be any kind of work done on our existing Claire Bartlett, if that would be expanded or if there would be redone or what. And Nelson County is asking to go through and redo the Claire Bartlett outlet or cleanage project. So no, the drain is existing drain. It's already there. Just clean out what was done before. There were places where it wasn't done to the satisfaction of the landowners. And the initial one will be paid off now in April. So it would be to start this summer again. And according to Nelson County, the majority of the Nelson County landowners are in favor to take and go through there. There's been some animal activity that's been a problem plugging things up. There's been several beaver dams that get put in and then they'd like to take and go through the whole thing and get it cleaned out again. So tentatively, we had talked about the week of March 30th for the public meeting, if that'll work. But when we get to see what your guys' agenda looks like, we were talking about whoever was on the board at that time, we headed at the racetrack, kind of a central meeting place, and that's where we are talking about having it again. So the week of the 30th is a tentative time frame for that. Additionally, on the Newbury Snag and Clear, we are going to take and go to Western and get the loan done for that. There's a balance of just about $49,000 that we will be taking out that'll be covered by the assessments through time. We did talk about, Jason came to us about a culvert recommendation on Fancher 33 and Triumph 5. Okay, there's a 48-inch existing in there right now. KLJ did the stream crossings, and for the 25-year flow, it is recommended for a 54. So we went with KLJ recommendation for the 54 for the replacement. Other than that, that is pretty much what we had to talk about today. Any questions?
Any questions of the commission for John?
We will get together with Candy when we hear more back from Nelson County for more of a firm date for that public meeting for the Claire Bartlett.
So John, you're looking at the week of March 30th through the 3rd of April,
Correct.
correct?
And that's subject to change. That's what the two water boards discussed when we met. If the county commissions, both county commissioners have issues with that week, it's up in the air, but we just had to set some kind of a time frame.
And this is just basic to inform the public of what you guys would like to do.
This is for a snag and clear. So I mean, the initial snag and clear of the Claire Bartlett will be paid off, and some of the landowners are asking for it to be redone again. Instead of going through the assessment process, they would prefer to take and do this as an ongoing snag and clear. Much more simple.
What's the average timeline of doing a snag clear? Could you come up with a number like 7 years, 10 years?
The work will be done in a year.
No, but I mean, typically from when it was done now to when it could be again down in the future.
You can do it as often as you want, as long as the cost is paid off. So you can only assess 50 cents a year to that assessed area. And as soon as it's done, then you can redo it.
So basically the timeline is what's left on the cost.
Correct.
That clears mud.
So, and part of the issue last time was it's 17 miles, correct?
Correct.
And so $100,000 doesn't go a long ways in 17 miles of maintaining a waterway. So some of the work was maybe not done. And
It was to get the most done we could with
Right.
what the money allowed. So now it's to try to clean up some of those spots that maybe weren't done as nice as could have been done.
correct.
Due to restraints of money.
So just for heads up to you and the other board members is the 31st in Bismarck, the Ag and Water Management interim committee, legislative interim committee will be meeting. And one of the topics that they've been tasked to study in this interim is inundated lands, specifically around Devil's Lake. So there may be some that would be interested in attending that. I know that I'm probably required to be there for my job. And so the 31st won't work for me. But I don't know if we necessarily need a quorum at that.
You do have to have 2/3 majority of the county commissioners at that meeting.
But one gone isn't a big deal.
So yes, I will inform the rest of the board about that meeting.
If it's the 3rd or the 4th, I will not be there because I will be in national wrestling. So
So that probably is not the best week to take.
those 2 days will not work because we'll be gone 3 of them for me.
Well, the third's a Friday, the 4th is Saturday,
So
so
it's Thursday through Saturday.
Thursday through Saturday, so the 2nd through the 4th.
The competition is 3rd and 4th, but the driving is
Right,
7th.
right.
Just so that you're aware.
Yep.
I don't want to.
So Monday the 30th or Wednesday the 1st.
So, but I mean, we'll be in contact with
That
Nelson
way it
County.
gives you to plan.
Anybody else that week that has things going on? Okay.
Thanks. If there's no other questions, thank you.
All right. Thank you guys.
Okay, moving on to unfinished business. Starting off with the Model D ordinance. I guess we talked about this last time and we were just touching up on.
Yes. The ordinance as presented was very complete. There were just 2 sections that I noticed that in conversations with the emergency manager and Mr. Treblecock, the only things that were added were the issues that I raised raised at the meeting last month. The section on remedies, essentially what the county has available to it to fix any issues or structures that are outside of the floodplain ordinance. And then a very boilerplate what amending the ordinance looks like, what would have to happen, which is that the commission would have to vote on it to amend it at a later date. Those are the only additions made. I recommend approving it as submitted from last week. It will make DWR and FEMA much happier, and hopefully we don't have to deal with floodplain ordinances for at least the next 5 years until we get the new floodplain maps and all that stuff.
So your suggestion would be to basically adopt what we have. Right?
Yes, adopt as presented would be my recommendation to the commission.
Is there any other questions on the Model D ordinance? I guess we didn't want to vote on this without you here. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys.
I think that was on the home rule charter. I had asked that we table the ordinance last meeting to add those last couple things in, just to ensure that it had everything that I had initially wanted in there, just for enforcement purposes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So with that, is there any other questions on that Model D ordinance?
Move to approve with recommended changes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'd second.
So we have a motion. We have a second for the Model D ordinance with the changes. Do we do a roll call on this? No.
No, I don't think so.
All's in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Daniel, on that.
Yes, sir.
The next item of business is home rule draft. This was in the packets. Was there any updates on this?
No changes have been made. There was discussion last meeting about changing dates on what specific, well, I'll be specific as to what was in there. It stated that proceeds from any approved sales tax from July 1st through June 30th would be what goes towards a budget in a year. There was some conversation from Candy about just having that be from Jan 1 to December 31st. I see no issue with that. And so if that's a change the commission would recommend to the committee, it would go back to the committee for those changes. And then we would return to the commission for the new version and any final votes that needed or the commission wanted at that time. Just a reminder, we're on a tight turnaround here. This needs to be on the ballot if it's going to be voted on at the primaries in June. This needs to get on the ballot before April 6th. So next regular commission meeting is going to be our last chance. If I remember correctly, another special meeting would not be ideal for everybody's schedules. So I encourage everybody to ask for changes and recommendations today, and the Home Rule Committee and myself will work to get any changes requested back to the commission before next meeting.
I seen on this, on the one that was sent out here, this maximum tax imposed.
Yes, sir.
You had added or just in red there.
So that was a previous version. The version that was submitted last week with no red in it is the finalized. So there's a little bit difference in the language. The initial idea of the committee was that no person be taxed more than $50 on any transaction. The way that the state tax commissioner has, well, the way the law reads is we may not limit the amount of tax, but anybody can apply for anything over that $50 to be paid back in essentially a rebate. They can apply for to get that tax back. As a practical matter, businesses who are making sales that would have tax over that $50, the private business owner can choose to alleviate that tax burden on the customer and essentially pay off anything over that $50. Essentially, a credit is kind of the concept. Accounting is certainly not my forte, so I don't know the correct word there, but essentially the private business owner can defray or offset any tax over $50 and then apply for that rebate. Private citizens can do it, but I want to be clear that this tax as proposed in the Home Rule Charter does not apply to farming equipment, does not apply to cars. A lot of those large purchases that I think Ramsey County citizens kind of think of as, wow, that's going to be quite a bit of tax. Even if it is 1%, if it's a $50,000 purchase or $100,000, that could get pretty high. But we're not seeking to have that be the case. The main goal here is to seek to defray the cost to Ramsey County citizens and have some of the either local residents from surrounding counties, where Ramsey County is a hub county. Devils Lake sees a lot of people come in from all over the place, from surrounding counties, but also tourism coming in from out of state, going towards lodging, alcohol, restaurants, a lot of the things that people come into town and use our infrastructure, use our roads, all of those sorts of things that they don't actually pay into or have any responsibility for, is the goal and the way that the committee intended this to take effect.
And Daniel, in your opinion, that limitation cannot be set in the ordinance itself?
Yes, the statute specifically states we cannot not tax the entire cost of any transaction. And so the committee wanted it to just be capping the total cost, but state law prohibits that from occurring. So it has to be done through the application process.
Any other questions?
I think last time somebody asked, and it might have been you, Commissioner Volk, about a sunset provision or essentially a provision that would have this be revoted on or come back before the citizens of Ramsey County at a later date. That's certainly something we can do. The committee felt that was, for lack of a better term, an unnecessary complication. If the commission decides to undo this sales tax at a later date, it can be put to a vote of the people at any primary or general election. You have the ability to start the ball rolling from here to make any changes to the Home Rule Charter, but it has to be done by a vote of the people from here if any changes are going to be made after it's voted in. But we can add in a sunset provision if that's what the commission wants. We would just need direction on how long and what exactly, if you're seeking to have it just completely end after a certain point, or it automatically goes up for a vote at a general or primary election. But
yeah, that's where they put this 15% if someone was to petition.
That is for the general public to petition. Right. The commission can put it up for a vote as by a vote of the commission.
I understood what they were saying.
I was just trying to recap everything I remember from last time. And if anybody has any questions, please
ask. So, and just to reiterate what we discussed before at our previous meetings, is basically this home rule charter does not drastically change the way the county government operates. It gives us the ability to impose a sales tax based on the voters of the people. And according to this home rule charter that we have in front of us, is the dedication of that tax revenue goes towards our public safety department budgets within Ramsey County. So public safety being sheriff's department, incarceration, state's attorney. So law enforcement, incarceration, and prosecution are the primary departments that are dedicated towards public safety within our county. Right now, those county budgets are roughly close to $5 million. It's an estimated that this 1% sales tax countywide could generate close to $2 million annually. So it would almost cut those budgets in half. And those budgets aren't going to go away anytime soon. They'll probably continue to increase as population and crime rates increase, or expenses to service those entities continue to increase. Just having a conversation with Sheriff Lang yesterday about a piece of equipment that he needs on an ongoing basis is increasing their cost to his department by 11% this year. So as costs continue to go up to provide those services, we put that burden on our property tax owners, because that's right now that is the only way that we generate income, is through property taxes. And a lot of times the people that we're trying to, so not all of them own property. And so sometimes that cost needs to be offset in a way that benefits everybody that's visiting our area, lives in our area, but may not necessarily own property in our area. So.
To that point, Commissioner Frith touched on the fact that there are a lot of powers that home rule can give counties. Their Century Code has a list of 10 enumerated powers that the county could seek to be instituted as part of the home rule. The goal here is not to make major changes to the way Ramsey County works, runs itself. There's no changes to how the elected offices are elected, no changes to any of the offices. I contemplated just to make sure that the home rule charter would be actionable, whether or not we needed ordinance power, which I think is one of the largest reasons counties go after home rule, so that they can make new criminal ordinances and other such things. But we're specifically not including that here. I think that was included and proposed in the past, but I think Ramsey County voters would not be in favor of giving more power to the commission to make laws, to pass new ordinances, to restrict life further. So we have sought to do the least restrictive thing here in this proposed home rule charter. And I can go down the list of other powers that are available, but as long as it's not in the home rule charter, it's not something that's sought here.
Is there any other discussion other than what has been discussed?
I guess I have one as I look through this, and it relates to Article 3 of elected officers. I thought I read someplace where home rule allowed the Ramsey or the county commission to appoint elected people. Is that not true?
That is true. The commission has the power to alter elected positions outside of home rule as well. There's ways that the county can reorganize itself, but home rule does have a specific mechanism by which the commission could change elected positions within the vote for the home rule. We have not proposed to do that here. But yes, you are correct, Commissioner.
But you don't necessarily need home rule to appoint.
To change those things, no, you do not.
Any other questions? I guess the only other question that came up that we really haven't touched is the July 1 through 30. I mean, you talked about it, but
Yes, if the commission wants it to be changed, we can absolutely get that specific language changed to revenues raised and collected from January 1st of the preceding year through December 31st of the current year shall be used towards the budgetary needs of the public safety departments for the following year.
because right now it reads July 1st through the June.
Yes. And so if the commission wants that change to be made, that will specifically be made.
So if we left it as is, then on June 30th, when we start doing budgets, we would know the exact dollar amount that we would have for the next year, correct?
Well, we'd have an estimation. You know, if this were to pass in June, we'd have an estimation. So, you know, because that certainly that 1% or, you know, is an estimation based on previous year's sales that the state tax department has collected.
Yeah, I'm just saying, not necessarily year one, but
Oh,
going forward,
sure.
you would know when you started budgets,
Yeah.
you have X number of dollars there.
And we would know that at any time throughout the year.
Depending what's coming in.
Right. And so those payments come in each month. I'm not sure if it happens on the 1st or if it happens the next week. Whatever rolling basis, it's probably best not to rely on those coming in on a specific date. But to your point, yes, the June payout would be some information we would have access to as to how much is in the public safety fund, I'll say for the time being. And then when we're planning our budgets, we could look at that specific number. There would be no difference if it was Jan 1 to December 31st. That money would just be sitting in that pot waiting for us to use when we're planning for our budgets. So we just know what our budget allowance is going to be starting December 31st or whenever that number finalizes. I think that probably creates less stress on Candy having to put those numbers together and having all of that prepared. The more spacing out of those sorts of things, probably the better. That does have that money sitting there for a period of time between January. Well, I guess the first year there's going to be a 6-month delay before it starts getting utilized or before we know. But as long as you're aware that that just has the money sitting there waiting for utilization for the next year, I don't think there's any issue with that.
I do have a question on this. So what stops you from spending the money other than
Other than public
Yeah.
safety? But
The same thing as stops us from doing a lot of things. This is the law the way it's written. This becomes the law. So if the commission started using these funds, it would be in violation of our own home rule charter. It would open us up to suit. I don't know that there's a specific crime for violating or going against a home rule charter. It would probably be misapplication of funds or something like
so
that.
the only reason I asked is because on the last ballot there was a vote, and this is for the city to do a police department, and it was voted down. Right? But yet they're going to move on doing this against what the public wanted.
Sure.
How does that? I'm just asking if that's something that could happen here, where you fall out of protocol.
My understanding is the city.
I know it's a little bit different,
Right.
but just asking the question because I don't know.
No, and I want to make sure I'm understanding your question. So the city was seeking to increase its sales tax for a new facility for for law enforcement. That sales tax failed, but they're still looking to build or get a new space for the police department.
Well, it sounds like they voted that they're doing.
But the vote of the people struck down the sales tax. You're asking, what if we start spending this money on something different? I mean, that becomes a public accountability issue. That's why we do everything in an open meeting. If we start earmarking those funds for something else, that would be an issue of accountability and the commission holding itself accountable, and potentially, if it becomes large enough, a suit from a private citizen or the state coming in and auditing and seeing what the issue is and if there is misapplication of public funds, something like that. But
Right.
It's a self-policing thing. It is a power that the commission would be handed if the home rule charter passes, and just like everything else, there's room for mishandling and inappropriate actions by governance. But that's why there's so many of us sitting in this room, so that we can make sure that
So
things are going
If
the way
a
they are
home rule
supposed to.
was, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
if a home rule was to go through and then this is in effect, you would have to vote again if you were to do something else with the home rule?
Yes.
Okay.
The commission cannot change or alter the home rule charter. Any additional powers or reduction in powers of the commission must be done by a vote. And that's a vote of the majority. The 15% is
Just a petition.
for private citizens to get a vote on the ballot, even if the commission doesn't want it to happen.
Right. Any other questions from anyone else? Concerns or differences?
Do we have a timeout?
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other discussion that anybody would like to have on the home rule? Any changes? Any stay the same?
Obviously, I'd like to see it move forward. it's something that I think is needed within the county. It helps alleviate some property tax burdens on property owners. If you figure if that number from the state tax department is correct and we generate $2 million, $2 million off our county budget is roughly about 25 mils. Correct? About 75,000 a mil. So if you take that number and by $2 million, you got, a little over 25 mils that we could reduce out of the general budget, the general fund budget, because that's where all these public safety budgets are taken from, is from our general fund, general mills.
Depending on where it would go with the commission. If it was a yes vote by the commission, then it's left up to the people.
Yes,
If it's a no vote by the commission, then it just stops right here, right?
correct.
Just so that we're all on the same page of that.
We try to keep it as simple and limiting as possible with making the changes that we were making. We didn't want to overcomplicate things, and we didn't want to give Daniel and his legal team free reign with wordsmithing. So, but I really want to thank the Home Rule Committee, the 5 members that volunteered their time, came in and put together I think a really good document that's easy to understand and accomplishes what we had set forth.
Any other discussion, I guess?
Basically, what we're doing is putting it to a vote of the people if we approve it.
Correct.
If we approve it, then it's up to the people.
I think we all understand how much the economy has changed in Devil Lake in the last 10 years. It's become tourism dependent, more so than ag. At least around the city.
Ramsey County anyway.
So maybe there's an opportunity to get some of that tourism dollar. I don't know. But we'll never know unless we try. And I'm doing a 180 from the last time we had this to the commission.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's some of us that are pretty adamant not to go forward with this, but I'm on the fence. I really am. You drive down Highway 19 on the 4th of July or 57, Highway 20, Highway 2, any of them. And the people that are coming to Devil Lake, just unbelievable. I don't know. It's like I said, it's something that people have to approve. Then you need a commission to handle it in the right way in the future. I think we would. But
I think it takes the steps on handcuffing commissions in the future of making radical changes without public approval.
right.
And, so it doesn't give the complete authority over to the commission. It puts things back in the people's hands to vote this through. And so, the people can then again come back and say, no, we don't want it any longer as well. So there's that avenue to it as well. So I think it's got some flexibility. It gives us an opportunity to fund our county in different ways than what we're currently funding it, and hopefully provide some tax relief in the future.
And to Commissioner Brown's statements, Commissioner Frith, do you recall roughly how much is generated by the county lodging and restaurant tax?
It's what does it run around 9,000 a month. You know, we have those in our bills on,
Sure. And so that's just on county and lodging. And so 9,000 a month is roughly, we'll say $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
And that's just on lodging and restaurant. And part of the home rule is lodging and restaurant as well, but also alcohol. And then just a general sales tax, which there's a large amount of exemptions from sales tax, groceries, educational, religious, or charitable activities, gross receipts from sales of textbooks. There's a lot of things that are exempted, but there are a lot more than just lodging and restaurant tax. So, I mean, even if we can defray the cost of several $100,000, I think it's beneficial to Ramsey County citizens. But just to address your concern of, you know, how much, if anything, is this going to benefit Ramsey County? And we're already seeing 100,000 roughly coming in from the county and restaurant lodging tax, which that all goes to the Chamber of Commerce, because there's a whole century code statute creating that. And so that's just giving us the opportunity to offset property taxes in a different way. So just so you have that additional information.
I'm all in favor of letting people decide, I guess. I don't know, takes a lot of weight off my shoulders, I know that.
My only question is, do we want to send it back to the committee for a date change? I guess that's.
well, if it were to pass this year, regardless of whether it passes in June or November, it has to be elected upon in a even number year, an election year. There can't be special elections for this. So even if it passes in June or November, whichever we decide to move forward with as a commission to put forth, it doesn't start collecting till January 1. So that's when the revenue starts accumulating, is January 1.
So my question is, we're trying to put this on to June, and then there's election in November also.
Correct.
And so
I'm
technically,
going to be honest with you guys. I didn't care for how the ambulance stuff went through.
Right.
Pushing this to June, if we're putting this to June, my vote's no. If
Okay.
it doesn't go to November, my vote's no. For the fact is, I feel we screwed the people when it came to the ambulance because we hurry up and threw it on the preliminaries. The people, when they hear preliminary, they thought they were voting to get it to go to the November ballot, and it was to pass it. And I had a lot of people upset over that because a lot of people are coming to the November vote. They're not coming to the preliminary.
That's true.
I'm more for, when are we going to get the most people to come and vote? Not that we get 300 people to come vote and this passes and then people thought it was going to be on the November ballot. That I am not in favor of, but I am in favor of putting on the fair for all the people. And I get it. Everybody has the right to come to June and everybody has the right to come to November. But as I've seen in the past, more people come to the November vote. I don't know why, but I think there's misunderstanding because of the preliminary. You know what I mean? Because the ambulance vote got pushed through, and I know it's a different topic, but it got pushed through very fast. And look at the numbers that came and voted for that. It wasn't even a third of the community. It was like
Do we-
700 votes.
Do we generally get a third of the community to vote anyway, regardless of what the topic is?
Well,
You know, very rare.
looking at commission votes,
Yeah.
we had 4,000 some votes.
Right.
I would rather have 4,000 some votes than 700.
Well, I would too. I do think instead of confusing people and bringing a home rule for a sales tax to offset public safety concerns and a potential bond issue for a new law enforcement center jail, I don't want there to be any confusion on those two issues. They're completely separate issues, and should be treated as such. That's, I think, where Walsh County is in a little bit of a pickle. They had both going forward. They had a sales tax and a bond issue that went forward, and it was confusing to voters, thinking that if one failed, they would not go ahead with the law enforcement center up there. One did fail, the other passed, but they still went through with the jail up there, their new jail. And hey, trust me, I don't want to have to build a jail. I really don't. I wish in a perfect society we wouldn't have to do that. But in reality, in the world that we live in, we're going to be required to build a new jail, and we're going to have to be able to fund that through probably a bond, as well as looking for other alternative funding sources. But the sales tax I don't know if it goes along with it and you try to sell both of them at the same time.
Well, they kind of do tie together.
Well, they do tie together.
Because essentially, the public safety is involving a jail.
Correct.
You know, and let's be quite honest, if the bond obviously is going to be on the November ballot, but even if the bond went through without this, what's the burden going to be on the people either way? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yep.
And that's where I feel people need to understand. The bond's there, yes, for the jail, but this helps offset some of the cost. You know, because in reality it does.
Yep.
And I get it says for the public safety, you know, but as we sit here and talk, as I'm sitting here, majority of it would go towards getting a jail as of right now. Really. I mean, that's how both of these got brought up. I mean, I'm not sitting here to hide anything from the public, because that's the truth to the matter. The bond is for the jail, but this would help offset some of that cost.
Sure. I just need to add that having a place to incarcerate people who violate the law is a large portion of what public safety has to be these days. I would prefer, and I think law enforcement would prefer, that there be more alternative programs to limit or to rehabilitate individuals, but incarceration is across the board the largest cost for public safety throughout the country at this point. It's unfortunate that that's the calculus that commissions like this are having to go through throughout the country, but a large part of every public safety budget is, what do we do with the people who are violating the laws?
Well, a lot of the problem, I know it's even off subject even more. A lot of the problem, though, is we're bringing people into the jail that shouldn't be there for jail. They should be there for help.
Mhm.
And the two aren't divided. And until we get the state and the government to realize that they should be divided, it's not going to stop affecting the people that are paying taxes, whether it's through a 1% or if it's through property tax. You're not going to stop that pain until our congressmen realize that, and women, that it's not just incarceration of people not all these people are doing bad things because they're just doing bad things. Some of it is because their mental health isn't right. You know,
I
And-
couldn't agree more.
anyway, I'm sorry. I guess we put it on a vote. We go from there, I guess.
Does this vote want to be without any changes made, or do we want to have the vote for changes and then come back? Or if it's just a minor change, we could vote on it with the change. I just want to make sure the motion, if one is put forward, is
I do think we had the committee here last time, and they said that if it was gonna, correct me if I'm wrong, can't remember the gal's name, but she said if all it was gonna be is the date change, they were definitely for it.
I don't think any of the committee would have any issue with making that change. It would be quick and easy, be able to get it turned around and resubmitted for final voting next time at the next commission meeting.
And I would find myself agreeing with Blaine. I think, in my opinion, I think this has been moving too fast. And I'm going to jump the fence and ride with that too, that I am on a fence line. You know, the last time it came through, I was not in favor. I see some real benefits this time. I'm just not sure that this is coming too fast. And like Blaine said, maybe we should offer it at the November election.
So by waiting, what would you change? I mean, what happened quickly? We've been discussing this for quite some time. So if we were to wait, what would you change within that home rule charter?
I don't know, Mr. Frith. Yeah, we were changing stuff in the home rule charter. But I've been involved in a lot of elections before. And by doing to the primary, like Commissioner Wilk said, you don't get the amount of people to come and vote you typically do in the fall. And this in my mind, is a very big part of something that could benefit us. And should we not have the best quantity of community voters participate?
Well, do we know that we would have less in the primary? Because one of the things that is up for the primary that's not up on the general is city commission. And now they have 3 city commissioners that are up for re-election this time, so that all gets decided in June. And so all those voters that have an issue with voting for city commission may not come back out in November and vote on this. So is there a big difference between primary and general elections, Candy, as far as numbers?
In an off year of presidential, not really. This year may be different because we are joining with the school. That's something that I was going to touch on today, but I'll just talk about it right now, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
That we have talked with them in years past about getting their election put on a ballot. We've never really seemed to meet the deadline to get it to work out. It took a few years to get it to work into the election system, to get the school district boundaries set up into the system with the help of the Secretary of State. And we finally got that done. So now the school district will be on a ballot here instead of having a separate like a separate board, a separate ballot, a separate mailing. And I need to do a joint powers agreement with them for them to pay like a percentage back to the county for printing supplies, things like that. So we may see, I mean, I don't know how many seats they have open this year. But I just got word of that yesterday that we're complete with that. So
So that would help with the preliminary.
that will bring in, how many more people. And the city election is already on a ballot with us. But in all the years that I've done election, the only recommendation that I can say is, is education, is to get stuff out to, to the voters of what you know, because like different things that have not passed with the school, and the school asked, why didn't this pass? And I'm like, you have to educate. You have to educate the voters on what they're voting, what you want them to vote on. So,
I mean, that's definitely a true statement.
yep. So, I mean, I think if, that might be something beneficial too, if the home rule charter could put put a little something together, to put out on social media about, the voting for, the home rule and the 1% sales tax.
Yeah, because essentially they're voting for two things. They're voting to have a home rule and voting for a sales tax at the same time. Correct.
Essentially, I mean, they're one and the same. They're the only part of home rule is the sales tax. But I agree with Candy. Education and just answering people's questions more than anything. I've had various people recommend different things. A frequently asked questions post, just putting that out there, having an official statement from Ramsey County about responses to those questions is something I intend on doing with the committee, putting those sorts of things together. Yeah.
I guess if there's no other discussion, I guess we're up to the point of what we would like to do to try to move this along. We want to have it come to a vote today with changes, without changes. Do we want to push it to the next meeting? I don't know. It's up to you guys. At some point, we have to make some kind of decision.
So if we decided that we were in favor of moving forward with this, with the only exception being the date change, do we still need to bring it back to approve that final version? at the next meeting?
No, I don't think so. I think it's substantially the same document. If it is the vote of the commission to do that, I would prepare the resolution to have this placed on the ballot. I think regardless, if you wanted those changes made, I would still come to the next commission meeting with the proposed resolution to have it put on the ballot. And so if you wanted to do it that way, I don't think there would be any issue with it. I would come with both of those documents prepared to move forward at the next meeting to either have it placed on this upcoming ballot in June, or if the ultimate decision was to put it on the ballot in November, whichever way that resolution needs to be read or needs to read.
But like it was said, with the date change, if it was approved, it wouldn't start until January.
Sure.
Anyway.
Either way, we have to come to some kind of decision, whether it's put on June or November or changes or what. We have to come to our senses at some point, I guess.
Candy, with the agreement with the school that you're trying to make, it's pretty much a go, though, just make the agreement or.
I haven't talked with Melissa yet. It's like a joint powers agreement for pretty much for them to agree for me to handle
Okay.
But as far as
the election process.
But as far as going on the same ballot, that's a done deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same date.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
Which makes way more
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
And then the next, the other side of it is that, I'm going to, bring chocolate or something to try to sweet talk them, is to try to get their bylaws changed so that their board appointments they coincide the same time as we have elections, so that they're not on the off years.
Mm-hmm.
So that the cost can be split, basically.
So that they're not doing an election when we're not doing an election.
So they were doing one every year. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
I was doing one every year.
right.
Yes.
So,
Because they were doing things by hand
and do it more like county commission, and I do. You have a 5-member board. You do 2 on 1 year and 3 on the
Right.
following election year.
Right. And it wouldn't be that. I mean, you would just,
Right.
change, one person to, serve 1 more year, or,
They're
and
gonna
then it's fixed.
have to change to a 2-year cycle. Or
Instead of a 3-year cycle, they'd have to change to either a 2 or a 4.
2 or a 4.
Yeah, because right now they're on a 3-year.
Yeah.
3-year cycle on their boards.
They lose board members every year.
Yep.
They have to change that bylaw.
Which
How's that done? That's got to be done by the board of people.
I'm not sure. Like I said, I need to bring chocolate.
Haven't bought enough chocolate yet.
So I guess that answers the question as far as you asked it. As far as the election, they will be on the ballot this time.
It's neat.
So that brings us back to the home rule. Guess I'm looking for some type of motion.
Well, it sounds to me like there's probably going to be enough of a draw. I mean, we can only guess, but it sounds like there's probably going to be enough things there. I feel comfortable putting it on the June ballot. I would move that we move forward with this, with the exception of changing the dates from July 1 through June 30th to January 1st through December 31st.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Otis,
Aye.
Frith,
I,
Brown,
I,
Wilhelmie.
Aye.
Bulk.
Motion carries. Moving on to LEC location.
as we brought up at the last meeting, we had several different locations to look at. The one we looked at was the one west of the city of Devils Lake in the industrial park, or west of the industrial park. I think that's still on the table as far as the law enforcement center board is concerned. I do think that since it's going to be located within our county and we're probably going to end up having to pay the lion's share of it, we should be the ones that make that decision of where it goes. Unless somebody had an alternative location other than those that we should be looking at or discussing. Or really want to try to move this thing forward so we can potentially have a bond set forth to move forward come November. We'd like to be able to have designs and start holding public meetings later on this summer, so we have an idea of where it's going to go. The architecture firms can then provide a rendering of the location, what it's going to look like or potentially look like, and move forward from that point.
Well, I think that location located west of town is going to have the least amount of pushback. So I think that of the three presented, I think that one is going to be the easiest.
I would certainly agree with that.
is there any services there? No.
No,
Is rural water at least even in the highway to a ditch?
Yeah. they are. So, so there'd be a lot of utilities that would have to go in, a lot of infrastructure that would have to be designed into that project. And whether or not a bond would go through in November, then you'd probably be looking at, 2 years down the line before something could be completed and constructed before opening up and operational. I do think the law enforcement center does have probably 2, 3, hopefully 4 more years left to go within the facility. I think it's still a very viable facility, very viable building. But again, it does not, as well as I do, that you've been through there enough that it doesn't meet state or federal standards. It's been grandfathered in as far as design concept is concerned. So if that would be a recommendation from Commissioner Wilhelmie, if we go ahead as far as the county commissioner and move forward with that location, we can, give that back to the law enforcement center board and have them move forward with that particular location, and then start the process of purchasing that through the law enforcement center corporation or entity that's established.
I do have a question, Jeff. I know I wasn't at the next meeting, and I know we keep talking about purchasing a piece of property, and I know we need this piece of property for to try to sell it to the public. But is there a plan if we don't get the bond? How do we pay for this property? Would this be a possible? And I was just drumming this the last couple of weeks. Is there a possibility it could be with contingent?
Well,
Do we want a piece of property and then we can't do anything with it, and now we're paying a whole bunch of money on it? I mean, if we don't have the
Right.
money my thing is where are we going to come up with the money? What happens if the bond doesn't go through
Yeah.
and we don't have the money?
Well, one of the things that the law enforcement center would have to do would probably enter into a purchase agreement with the landowner. Currently, that land is being utilized for agricultural purposes and being rented out on a cash basis for cash rent for providing or producing crops.
Right.
So I think until you have that bond passed, and I think you'd continue on with that contract with that landowner, that tenant that's currently farming that land, to maintain that rental agreement that you would have with them. And once the bond passes, then you can divide up the property and start making plans that way. And I do think that the finances that the law enforcement center currently has could probably afford the property, or take out a small loan and move forward that way. We've been having very good DOCR participation with the inmates from the state of North Dakota. And so it's increased our revenue capacity quite a bit at the law enforcement center. So the cash balances are very good.
I just want to make sure that
Right.
we don't go purchase something and then
Yeah. Well, I think if it purchase it, then this thing all goes away and we can't do it, or we can just continue owning the property and renting it out on a cash rental basis.
And if the current owner wanted to do some sort of contingency where it returned to them if the bond doesn't go through, that's something we can explore at a later date once we have more specifics.
yeah, I know looking at options, you got to be able to put the picture in people's minds.
Yeah.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be tied to something.
Yep.
And not be able to afford it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I agree. There is probably a way that they can get a loan that is affordable.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that
And I do
I
think that
I do agree with
yeah.
the location west also. But I'm just asking the
Yeah.
question.
I think that property is one property that has a revenue capacity or a revenue contingency if things didn't move forward with the bond, that would continue on, where the other properties have no rental ability currently. So you'd be sitting with property that you would either have to have a fire sale on or sit with until something were to pass, kind of thing, or you had another willing purchaser for that property, kind of thing. Right now, there's somebody in there that's currently renting the land as an agricultural business, and they can continue doing that until something were to move forward. So I do think that's a good location for that particular reason, that it would always generate that income until we come time to make hay.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
So with that, do we want to go ahead with the motion to support that location to the law enforcement center? Would that be appropriate at this time?
I would make that motion.
We're not spending any county money on it, and we're just supporting their location
Right.
recommendation.
It was just so that we had
Clarification.
clarification that we agreed with the location.
Correct. So I would second Mr. Wilhelmie's motion.
We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor by saying aye.
I
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
thank you.
No new business at this time. Visitors and delegations. Anybody? Portfolios. Anybody have anything on portfolios?
Just something quickly on the airport. The airport authority received some numbers from the North Dakota Aeronautical Commission that indicated that the Devils Lake Airport has an annual economic impact to the region of somewhere in the neighborhood of $23 or $26 million. I can't remember which exact number, but a pretty substantial economic impact to the region for Devils Lake Regional Jail or Regional Airport. Excuse me.
Nice.
And so we continue to set boarding records. So January was another boarding record, and February was very strong. And once the final numbers are in, we'll at least have another record in February out there. So fly local.
I guess all I have is the Lake Access was gonna be taking bids for their summer, taking care of the cleaning stations and mowing and all that good stuff. Either, well, we're gonna decide if they're gonna take bids or stay with the individual we have, because I think we have that authority now. Other than that, I don't have anything. Anybody else have anything?
Real quickly, planning commission, as we move forward with the subdivision ordinances and everything else that goes along with the comprehensive plan, we have 3 vacancies on the commission. So there's still 6 people on there. Are we good to continue having meetings and moving forward with that? With 3 vacancies?
I think that's something that we need to continue to advertise out, and whether it be social media or word of mouth or coffee time.
So you have, there's 9 total, so you would just have to have 4 at the meeting. Correct?
5
Five
for a quorum.
That- required.
I'm gonna have to look at the statute and get back to you because I don't know if you
I
can.
thought 12 was 5, 9 was 4, but
Well, it has to be a majority, so to be a quorum,
Right.
and I don't know if you can proceed without a full commission. So I will get back to you before the next commission meeting and get some information.
and do they have to have 9 on that?
That's what I want to look at. I don't know what the requirements are.
Because if we can't get people to fill it, can we downsize it to 7? You know what I'm saying?
Potentially, but I want to make sure that there's not a requirement that there be like representatives from
From what subdivision?
subdivisions, city, county, all of those things. It may require a certain number from each before things can move forward. So I'll get back to Commissioner Wilhelmy. I'll let you all know what I find, just so you have that information. But
What would be the process for people to try to inquire?
Send a letter of interest to the auditor.
Okay.
Saying they'd be interested in serving the planning commission.
Word of mouth, you can try to push it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Would be appreciated.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing that I think should be mentioned with the timing of our meeting and April coming up really quick. County commission seats. There's 3 available for this year, and would encourage people to get their petitions picked up, filled out. How many signatures does everybody need this go around, Candy? Do you remember?
70 some. Let me look here. Each one is different, so
And just for a reminder for the general public that's listening, that if we have 3 positions that are open on the commission, then 6 people can move forward beyond the primary. So you could have 30 people running for county commission up until June. And then after June, it gets narrowed down to 6 people. So,
and if you're not on the primary ballot, you cannot be on the general ballot.
correct.
correct.
And there's 2 just wait, I'm trying to find the there is 1 unexpired 4-year term, and there are 2 4-year.
So,
So 2 4-year and 1
Essentially, right?
2-year to get back on track.
In the information you sent out, Candy, it was 73 votes
So, yeah.
for a commissioner. or 73 signatures.
73 signatures to get
Yep.
on the June primary.
June primary, correct?
And they have a petition to get on.
Yes. 4 p.m.
4 p.m. on April 6th.
Yes.
They can contact
Is the
you for
deadline.
petition forms, correct, Andy?
Or they can visit the Secretary of State website.
Holy, sounds like a good time for you to be on the radio. No. I'm just kidding. Is there anything other?
Just to let you know that I'll be gone tomorrow and Thursday in Bismarck for election. So
Safe travels.
Mhm.
I want to clarify one thing too that I talked about.
might not come back.
I just want to clarify one thing. I was running through my notes back there, and Benson County does do township blading, but it's all by the hour, and they do it once a month. And that was my own notes, and I misspoke earlier, so I want to clear that up in here.
Okay, thank you. Any other announcements? Hearing none, they'll adjourn our meeting.